Every meaningful change begins long before anyone else notices it. It begins in the quiet moments when you decide what kind of thoughts deserve your attention. Most people believe their life is controlled by external circumstances, the job they have, the people they meet, the opportunities they receive, or the challenges they face. While these factors certainly influence us, they do not determine our future. The greatest influence on your life is the way you interpret those experiences. Two people can face the exact same obstacle and produce completely different outcomes because their minds process the situation differently. One sees an ending while the other sees a beginning. One sees failure while the other sees feedback. That difference is where transformation begins. Your mind acts like a filter through which you experience every moment of your life. It decides what you focus on, what you ignore, what you fear, and what you pursue. If your mind is constantly searching for reasons why you cannot succeed, it will always find evidence to support that belief. You will notice every setback, every criticism, every mistake, and every closed door. Over time, those observations become your reality because they influence the choices you make. You begin playing small, avoiding risks, and settling for less than your potential, not because you lack ability, but because your thinking has convinced you that growth is impossible. The remarkable thing about the human mind is that it can be trained. Just as athletes strengthen their bodies through consistent exercise, you strengthen your thinking through intentional practice. You do not wake up one morning with an unshakable mindset. You build it one decision at a time. Every time you choose optimism over negativity, learning over complaining, or courage over fear, you are reshaping the way your mind responds to life's challenges. These small mental choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but together they create a powerful foundation for lasting success. Many people wait for confidence before taking action, believing they need to feel ready before they begin. In reality, confidence is often the result of action, not the cause of it. When you repeatedly challenge yourself, complete difficult tasks, and keep promises to yourself, your mind collects evidence that you are capable. This evidence gradually replaces self-doubt with self-belief. Confidence grows because your experiences prove that you can overcome obstacles. That is why waiting to feel confident usually keeps people stuck. The path to confidence begins with movement, even when uncertainty is present. Another important truth is that your environment influences your thinking more than you may realize. The conversations you have, the content you consume, and the people you spend time with all shape your perspective. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, your mind begins to normalize fear, criticism, and limitation. But when you intentionally expose yourself to ideas that encourage growth, resilience, and possibility, your thinking begins to expand. This is why successful people are often intentional about protecting their attention. They understand that what repeatedly enters the mind eventually influences behavior. Your thoughts also affect your emotions, and your emotions often influence your decisions. When fear dominates your thinking, hesitation follows. When gratitude fills your mind, resilience becomes easier. When purpose guides your thoughts, temporary discomfort feels worthwhile because you understand what you are working toward. This does not mean you ignore difficult emotions or pretend challenges do not exist. It means you choose not to let temporary feelings permanently determine your direction. Emotional awareness allows you to recognize fear without allowing fear to become your leader. It is also important to recognize that setbacks are not proof that you are on the wrong path. Every meaningful journey includes obstacles. Your mind has a choice during those moments. It can interpret difficulty as evidence that you should quit, or it can interpret difficulty as part of the learning process. The interpretation matters because it determines your response. People with resilient mindsets do not avoid failure. They simply refuse to let failure define their identity. They understand that mistakes reveal areas for growth rather than permanent limitations. Your daily habits quietly reinforce your mindset. Every decision either strengthens the identity you want to build, or the one you are trying to leave behind. Choosing to read instead of endlessly scrolling, exercising instead of making excuses, listening instead of reacting, and learning instead of blaming all send a powerful message to your mind. They reinforce the belief that you are someone who takes responsibility for your future. Over time, these repeated actions shape your identity far more than occasional bursts of motivation ever could. Ultimately, mastering your mind is not about achieving perfection. It is about becoming intentional. It is about recognizing that your greatest power lies in choosing how you think, how you respond, and how you grow. Life will always present uncertainty, disappointment, and unexpected challenges, but your mindset determines whether those experiences become barriers or building blocks. When you learn to guide your thoughts with purpose, discipline, and hope, you begin shaping a reality that reflects your highest potential. Master your mind first, and your life will gradually follow the direction your thoughts consistently create. Purpose is one of the most powerful forces a person can discover because it gives meaning to effort and direction to every decision. Without purpose, life often feels reactive. You move from one obligation to another, responding to circumstances instead of intentionally creating the future you want. Days become routines, routines become months, and before long, years have passed without a clear sense of progress. But when you have a purpose that is bigger than temporary comfort or personal gain, everything begins to change. Your decisions become more intentional, your priorities become clearer, and your ability to overcome challenges grows stronger. Many people confuse goals with purpose, but they are not the same. A goal is something you achieve. Purpose is the reason you pursue it. You can accomplish a goal and still feel empty if it was never connected to something meaningful. Purpose reaches beyond success, recognition, or financial reward. It answers the deeper question of why your work matters and how your life can positively impact others. When your actions are connected to a meaningful purpose, even ordinary tasks become significant because they contribute to something greater than yourself. One of the greatest challenges in today's world is distraction. Every day, countless voices compete for your attention. Social media encourages comparison, advertisements promise instant happiness, and constant notifications interrupt your focus. Without a clear purpose, it becomes easy to chase whatever seems exciting in the moment. You may spend years pursuing opportunities that look impressive but never truly satisfy you. Purpose acts as a filter. It helps you distinguish between what is merely urgent and what is genuinely important. Instead of saying yes to everything, you begin saying yes to the things that align with your values and long-term vision. Purpose also provides strength during difficult seasons. Anyone can stay committed when life is easy and everything goes according to plan. The true test comes when obstacles appear. There will be moments when progress feels slow, when failure seems overwhelming, or when the path ahead becomes uncertain. During those times, motivation alone is rarely enough to keep moving. Motivation changes with emotions, but purpose remains steady. It reminds you why you started, and gives you a reason to continue, even when the journey becomes uncomfortable. Fear is another obstacle that purpose helps overcome. Fear often grows in moments of uncertainty. It tells you that you are not ready, that you might fail, or that others will judge you. These thoughts can become so loud that they prevent action altogether. Purpose changes the conversation. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" you begin asking, "What happens if I never try?" When your mission becomes more important than your fear, courage naturally begins to grow. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision that something else matters more. Living with purpose also changes the way you view sacrifice. Without purpose, sacrifices feel like losses. Waking up early, working hard, learning new skills, or delaying gratification may seem unfair or exhausting. But when those same actions are connected to a meaningful purpose, they become investments rather than burdens. You understand that every disciplined choice is helping build the future you want. The temporary discomfort no longer feels pointless because it is leading towards something valuable. Purpose influences the people you choose to surround yourself with as well. When you know what matters most, you naturally seek relationships that encourage growth, honesty, and accountability. You become less interested in impressing others and more interested in learning from those who challenge you to become better. Likewise, you begin contributing more positively to the lives of others because purpose shifts your focus from personal success to meaningful service. People are inspired not only by talent, but by individuals whose actions consistently reflect a deeper mission. Another benefit of purpose is resilience. Life is unpredictable, and no one escapes disappointment. Plans change, opportunities disappear, and unexpected hardships arise. A person without purpose may interpret these moments as reasons to quit. A person with purpose sees them as temporary detours rather than permanent endings. They adapt, learn, and continue moving forward because their destination is larger than any single setback. Purpose creates endurance by keeping your attention fixed on the bigger picture instead of the immediate obstacle. Finding purpose does not always happen in a single moment of clarity. For many people, it develops gradually through curiosity, experience, and reflection. It begins by asking meaningful questions. What values matter most to me? What kind of person do I want to become? How can my strengths contribute to something beyond myself? As you continue learning and serving, your purpose becomes clearer. It is not something you simply discover. It is something you continually strengthen through intentional living. At the end of the day, purpose is not about achieving a perfect life. It is about living a meaningful one. It gives your mind direction when distractions appear, hope when challenges arise, and strength when fear tries to hold you back. It transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary opportunities because every step is connected to a reason that truly matters. When your life is guided by purpose, success becomes more than personal achievement. It becomes the natural outcome of living each day with intention, courage, and a commitment to making a positive difference. Motivation is exciting because it makes us feel energized, hopeful, and ready to take action. It often arrives after watching an inspiring video, reading a powerful book, attending a seminar, or experiencing a meaningful breakthrough. During those moments, everything seems possible. You promise yourself that this time will be different. You make ambitious plans, set challenging goals, and imagine the person you want to become. While motivation can be a valuable spark, it is a mistake to believe that it alone can carry you to success. Motivation is temporary by nature. It rises and falls with your emotions, your energy, and your circumstances. If your progress depends entirely on feeling motivated, your progress will also be inconsistent. Discipline is different. Discipline is the decision to keep moving forward whether you feel inspired or not. It is the ability to honor your commitments even when excitement has disappeared. Successful people understand that feelings are unreliable guides. Some days you will wake up eager to work, while other days you will feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. The difference between those who consistently grow and those who remain stuck is not that one group always feels motivated. The difference is that disciplined people continue taking action regardless of how they feel. One of the greatest misconceptions about discipline is that it limits freedom. In reality, discipline creates freedom. Consider a musician who practices every day. The hours spent mastering an instrument may appear restrictive, but those disciplined efforts eventually create the freedom to perform beautifully and confidently. An athlete follows a demanding training routine, sacrificing comfort for consistent improvement. That discipline allows them to compete at their highest level when it matters most. The same principle applies to every area of life. Financial discipline creates financial freedom. Health discipline creates physical energy. Mental discipline creates emotional stability. What appears restrictive today often becomes the source of greater opportunities tomorrow. Discipline also builds trust within yourself. Every promise you make to yourself is an opportunity to strengthen or weaken your self-confidence. If you repeatedly decide to wake up early but continue pressing the snooze button, your mind quietly learns that your commitments cannot be trusted. If you constantly postpone important tasks, your brain begins expecting inconsistency. Over time, this weakens your confidence because your actions no longer support your intentions. However, every time you follow through on a commitment, no matter how small, you reinforce a powerful belief. I do what I say I will do. That belief becomes the foundation of lasting confidence. Many people search for shortcuts because discipline requires patience. We live in a world that celebrates instant results. Social media highlights overnight success stories while rarely showing the years of preparation behind them. This creates unrealistic expectations. When progress feels slow, people assume something is wrong and often quit too soon. Discipline teaches a different lesson. It reminds us that meaningful success is built gradually through consistent effort. Small actions repeated every day eventually produce remarkable outcomes, even if the progress is invisible at first. Daily habits are where discipline becomes visible. Every morning presents a series of choices. Will you begin your day with intention or distraction? Will you complete the difficult task first or postpone it? Will you invest time in learning or waste hours on activities that add little value? These choices may seem insignificant on their own, but together they shape your future. Your life is not determined by one extraordinary decision. It is determined by hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. Discipline becomes especially valuable when life becomes difficult. Challenges have a way of exposing our habits. During stressful seasons, people often fall back on their routines. If those routines are built on discipline, they provide stability even when circumstances are uncertain. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions, disciplined individuals focus on the next right action. They understand that progress is rarely about dramatic breakthroughs. More often, it is about refusing to stop. Another important aspect of discipline is learning to delay gratification. Human nature often seeks immediate comfort. It is easier to choose entertainment over education, convenience over effort, or excuses over responsibility. Yet every time you delay a small pleasure in favor of a meaningful goal, you strengthen your ability to lead yourself. This ability becomes increasingly valuable because many of life's greatest rewards require patience. Building expertise, earning trust, improving health, strengthening relationships, and creating lasting success all depend on consistent effort over time. Discipline should not be confused with perfection. There will be days when you make mistakes or fall short of your expectations. The disciplined person does not allow one bad day to become a reason for giving up. Instead, they acknowledge the setback, learn from it, and return to their routine as quickly as possible. Progress is not about never failing. It is about refusing to let failure become a permanent pattern. Ultimately, discipline is an expression of respect for your future self. Every disciplined choice you make today is a gift to the person you are becoming tomorrow. It allows you to build a life based on intentional action rather than temporary emotion. Motivation may inspire the beginning of the journey, but discipline ensures that the journey continues. When you learn to depend on consistent habits instead of changing feelings, you gain something far more valuable than short-lived excitement. You gain the confidence, resilience, and character necessary to achieve goals that once seemed beyond your reach. In the end, the strongest foundation for a meaningful life is not built on moments of inspiration, but on the quiet, repeated decisions to keep moving forward, one disciplined step at a time. Growth is rarely comfortable because growth requires change, and change challenges the familiar. Human nature is designed to seek safety, predictability, and routine. We naturally prefer environments where we know what to expect and where the risk of failure feels low. While there is nothing wrong with appreciating stability, remaining in the same place for too long can quietly become one of the greatest obstacles to personal development. The comfort zone may protect you from disappointment, but it also protects you from discovery. It keeps you safe from failure, yet it also keeps you away from experiences that could reveal your true potential. Imagine standing at the edge of a path you have never traveled before. You cannot see exactly where it leads, and that uncertainty creates hesitation. Your mind immediately begins asking questions. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I am not good enough? These thoughts are completely natural. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has experienced uncertainty. The difference is not that successful people never feel fear. The difference is that they refuse to allow fear to become the final decision maker. They recognize that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. One of the greatest lessons life teaches is that every new level of growth requires letting go of an old version of yourself. The habits, beliefs, and routines that brought you to your current position may not be enough to take you where you want to go next. Personal growth often begins with unlearning. It means questioning assumptions, challenging limiting beliefs, and becoming open to new perspectives. This process can feel uncomfortable because it asks you to admit that there is more to learn. Yet humility is one of the strongest foundations for lifelong growth. Those who believe they already know everything stop learning, while those who remain curious continue expanding their abilities. Challenges play an essential role in this process. Many people view obstacles as interruptions to success, but in reality, they are often the very experiences that create it. Difficult situations develop qualities that comfort never can. Patience grows when results take time. Resilience grows when plans fall apart. Wisdom grows when mistakes become valuable lessons. Confidence grows when you overcome situations you once believed were impossible. Without challenges, these qualities remain undeveloped. Just as muscles become stronger through resistance, character becomes stronger through adversity. Failure is another experience that people often misunderstand. Society frequently treats failure as something to avoid at all costs, leading many individuals to play it safe rather than pursue meaningful opportunities. Yet failure is not evidence of inability. More often, it is evidence that you are attempting something beyond your current level of experience. Every mistake contains information. It reveals what works, what does not, and what adjustments are necessary. The people who grow the most are not those who avoid failure, but those who are willing to learn from it without allowing it to define their identity. It is important to remember that progress is not always dramatic. Sometimes growth is almost invisible. It happens in the quiet decisions to keep practicing, keep learning, and keep improving even when no one is watching. Many people give up because they expect immediate results. They mistake slow progress for no progress at all. In reality, meaningful transformation often occurs beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Just as a tree develops deep roots before it grows tall branches, your character must develop strength before lasting success can be sustained. Comparison is another barrier that keeps many people trapped within their comfort zone. When you constantly compare your beginning to someone else's years of experience, you create unnecessary discouragement. Every person's journey is different. Different opportunities, different backgrounds, Different challenges and different timelines shape each path. Instead of measuring your progress against others, focus on becoming better than you were yesterday. Small improvements made consistently are far more valuable than chasing unrealistic perfection. Stepping outside your comfort zone also develops adaptability, one of the most valuable skills in a rapidly changing world. Circumstances will continue to evolve. Industries change, technology advances, and unexpected situations arise. Those who are willing to learn new skills, embrace new ideas, and adjust to changing conditions remain prepared for opportunities that others may overlook. Flexibility does not mean abandoning your values. It means remaining open to better ways of achieving meaningful goals. Growth is also strengthened by surrounding yourself with people who encourage development rather than comfort. Honest mentors, supportive friends, and thoughtful leaders challenge you to think differently and expect more from yourself. They celebrate your progress while also encouraging you not to settle for less than your potential. Their influence reminds you that growth is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. Every conversation, every book, every experience, and every challenge becomes another opportunity to expand your understanding. Ultimately, life rewards those who are willing to embrace temporary discomfort for lasting transformation. The conversations you avoid often contain the breakthroughs you need. The skills you hesitate to learn may become the foundation of future opportunities. The challenges you fear today may one day become the stories that inspire someone else to keep going. Every step beyond your comfort zone teaches your mind that you are more capable than you once believed. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes familiar, and new possibilities begin to appear. Growth is not found by waiting for life to become easy. It is found by choosing to move forward with courage, curiosity, and determination, trusting that every challenge is preparing you for a stronger, wiser, and more purposeful future. Leadership is often misunderstood as something reserved for people with impressive titles, large teams, or positions of authority. Many assume that leadership begins when someone is promoted, elected, or placed in charge of others. The truth is much simpler and far more powerful. Leadership always begins with the person you see in the mirror every morning. Before you can inspire a team, guide a family, influence a community, or shape an organization, you must first learn to lead yourself. Self-leadership is the foundation upon which every form of meaningful leadership is built. If you cannot direct your own thoughts, emotions, and actions, it becomes difficult to earn the trust required to lead others effectively. The first step in leading yourself is developing self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to honestly recognize your strengths, weaknesses, emotions, habits, and patterns of behavior without allowing pride or fear to distort the truth. It requires the courage to ask difficult questions. Why did I react that way? What assumptions am I making? What habits are helping me grow? And which ones are holding me back? These questions are uncomfortable because they force you to look inward instead of placing responsibility on external circumstances. Yet growth always begins with honest reflection. The more clearly you understand yourself, the better prepared you are to make intentional decisions rather than emotional reactions. Emotional intelligence is another essential part of self-leadership. Every person experiences frustration, disappointment, fear, and uncertainty. These emotions are normal, but they should not become the driving force behind your decisions. A strong leader does not ignore emotions or pretend they do not exist. Instead, they acknowledge them, understand their source, and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. Imagine facing criticism at work or encountering an unexpected setback. An emotional reaction might lead to defensiveness, blame, or discouragement. A thoughtful response, however, begins with curiosity. What can I learn from this situation? How can I improve? What is the best course of action moving forward? This ability to pause before reacting creates wisdom, stability, and trust. Self-leadership also requires personal responsibility. It is easy to blame circumstances, difficult people, lack of resources, or bad luck when things do not go according to plan. While external challenges certainly exist, constantly blaming them gives away your power. Responsibility shifts the focus from what you cannot control to what you can. You may not control every event in your life, but you always have influence over your attitude, effort, preparation, and response. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth because it encourages action instead of excuses. Integrity is another defining characteristic of those who lead themselves well. Integrity means your actions consistently match your values, even when no one is watching. It is easy to make promises when motivation is high. True character is revealed when keeping those promises becomes difficult. Every time you choose honesty over convenience, discipline over comfort, and responsibility over excuses, you strengthen your integrity. People naturally trust individuals whose actions consistently align with their words. Trust cannot be demanded or purchased. It is earned through repeated demonstrations of character. Leading yourself also means becoming intentional with your habits. Every day presents countless opportunities to either strengthen or weaken your future. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, the food you eat, the way you manage your time, and the thoughts you repeatedly entertain all shape the person you are becoming. Great leaders understand that success is rarely the result of one extraordinary decision. It is usually the outcome of hundreds of small choices made consistently over time. They know that excellence is not an event but a habit. Humility is another quality that separates effective leaders from ineffective ones. Some people believe leadership requires having all the answers, but true leadership is rooted in a willingness to keep learning. Humility allows you to admit mistakes, seek advice, and remain open to new perspectives. Rather than viewing feedback as a threat, humble leaders see it as an opportunity to improve. This mindset creates continuous growth because it removes the barrier of pride. When you accept that there is always more to learn, every experience becomes a classroom. Another important aspect of self-leadership is resilience. Difficult moments are inevitable. Plans will change, goals will take longer than expected, and setbacks will test your commitment. During these moments, your ability to lead yourself becomes especially important. Instead of allowing temporary disappointment to determine your future, resilient leaders focus on the next right step. They understand that perseverance is often more valuable than perfection. Progress does not require flawless performance. It requires consistent commitment despite obstacles. Leading yourself also changes the way you influence others. People are rarely inspired by words alone. They are inspired by examples. Your consistency, kindness, patience, accountability, and willingness to grow communicate more than any speech ever could. Whether you realize it or not, someone is always observing how you respond to challenges, treat people, and handle responsibility. Your example creates permission for others to do the same. Influence grows naturally when your actions reflect the values you encourage in others. Ultimately, leadership is not about controlling people. It is about serving them through your example. The strongest leaders do not seek recognition for themselves. They seek opportunities to help others grow, contribute, and succeed. That journey begins long before anyone gives you a title or position. It begins in the quiet moments when you choose discipline over distraction, honesty over convenience, courage over fear, and responsibility over excuses. Every day offers another opportunity to become the kind of person others can trust, respect, and follow, not because they have to, but because your character consistently points them towards something better. True leadership starts within, and when you learn to lead yourself well, you naturally create a positive influence that extends far beyond your own life. Extraordinary lives are rarely built through one dramatic decision or a single moment of success. More often, they are shaped by the small choices that most people overlook. Every day presents countless opportunities to make decisions that either move you closer to the person you want to become or pull you further away from that vision. These choices may seem insignificant in the moment. Waking up a little earlier, reading a few pages of a meaningful book, choosing patience over frustration, finishing an important task before seeking entertainment, or speaking words of encouragement instead of criticism may not feel life-changing on a single day. Yet when these actions are repeated consistently, they create remarkable transformation over time. One of the greatest misunderstandings about success is the belief that it happens suddenly. People often notice the visible result: a thriving business, a healthy relationship, a confident leader, or a skilled professional. But they rarely see the years of consistent decisions that made those outcomes possible. Success is usually the visible expression of invisible habits. Behind every achievement are thousands of ordinary moments where someone chose discipline over comfort, learning over distraction, and persistence over quitting. Those moments are rarely celebrated, but they are the true foundation of lasting success. Your daily choices gradually shape your identity. Every action sends a message to your mind about the kind of person you believe yourself to be. When you choose to exercise even when you feel tired, you reinforce the identity of someone who values health. When you continue learning after a long day, you strengthen the identity of someone committed to growth. When you remain honest during difficult situations, you reinforce the identity of someone with integrity. Over time, these repeated actions become habits, and those habits eventually become part of your character. You do not simply achieve success, you become the type of person who naturally creates it. Many people underestimate the power of consistency because they focus only on immediate results. They expect dramatic improvement after a few days of effort, and become discouraged when change feels slow. However, personal growth follows the principle of accumulation. Small improvements compound over time, just as small neglect eventually creates significant problems. Reading 10 pages each day may not seem impressive, but over the course of a year, it becomes thousands of pages of knowledge. Saving a small amount of money regularly may seem insignificant at first, but patience allows those savings to grow into meaningful financial security. The same principle applies to your mindset, your relationships, your career, and your character. Progress is often invisible until it reaches a point where the results can no longer be ignored. Choices become especially important during ordinary days because those days make up the majority of life. Everyone is capable of making a great decision during moments of inspiration. The true difference appears on days when motivation is absent. Will you still choose discipline when no one is watching? Will you still act with kindness when others are difficult? Will you continue learning when progress feels slow? These ordinary moments quietly determine your future because they reveal what you value most. Your attention is also one of the most important daily choices you make. In a world filled with endless distractions, where you focus your attention determines where your energy goes. If you constantly invest your attention in negativity, comparison, and unnecessary conflict, your mind becomes consumed by things that produce little value. On the other hand, choosing to focus on learning, meaningful relationships, gratitude, and purposeful work strengthens your ability to create a positive and productive life. Attention is limited, so using it wisely becomes one of the greatest investments you can make. Small daily choices also influence the people around you. A simple word of encouragement can restore someone's confidence. Listening carefully during a conversation can strengthen a relationship. Showing patience in a stressful situation can create trust. Expressing gratitude can change the atmosphere of an entire room. Many people search for opportunities to make a big impact while overlooking the extraordinary influence of consistent acts of kindness and integrity. Leadership often grows through these seemingly ordinary moments, because people remember how you made them feel more than they remember what you accomplished. Another important truth is that every choice creates momentum. Positive decisions make future positive decisions easier. Negative decisions often create patterns that become increasingly difficult to break. This is why the first step matters so much. You do not have to transform your entire life in a single day. You simply need to make the next right choice. One healthy meal can begin a healthier lifestyle. One honest conversation can restore a relationship. 1 hour of focused learning can open the door to new opportunities. Momentum grows through repetition, not perfection. There will be days when you fall short of your expectations. Everyone experiences setbacks, moments of weakness, and periods of discouragement. The important thing is not avoiding mistakes altogether, but refusing to let one poor decision become a permanent direction. A single setback does not define your future unless you allow it to stop your progress. Every new day offers another opportunity to begin again with greater wisdom and renewed determination. Ultimately, your future is not determined by occasional moments of greatness, but by the repeated decisions you make when no one is applauding. Every thought you choose to believe, every habit you choose to build, every conversation you choose to have, and every action you choose to take is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. The life you dream of is not created overnight. It is built through ordinary choices made with extraordinary consistency. When you commit yourself to making wise decisions every single day, those small actions begin to multiply into remarkable results. Years from now, what once seemed like tiny, almost unnoticed choices will become the very foundation of a life marked by purpose, resilience, character, and lasting success.